Hey, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Background Buzz Topic of the Week. Our topic today is we're going to be ranking all of the Black Mirror episodes in season 4 from worst to best. And if you're interested in that, we also have individual reviews of all the episodes in season 4 on our channel. But let's just get right into it. I'm Steve.
I'm Wilson.
So I think the best way to do this is to just start from 6 and go to 1.
I agree.
Don't look at my list, Wilson. So I'll go 6, you go 6, go back and forth.
Okay, for sure.
So my 6th favorite, I don't want to say least favorite, because I like them all.
I agree.
Is Metalhead.
Okay.
And while I did like this episode, if you look at our review, watch our review, we talk about how it has like a very horror movie vibe, which I liked. Still very slow. Still, the story felt small in scope, just one woman getting kicked after a dog. And I thought the plot twist at the end was not worth it.
Yeah. My number 6 will be Archangel. Again, like we reviewed all of these, so we kind of give a little bit more detail as to what we liked and didn't like.
Yeah.
But kind of an overview. I liked this episode. Like Steven said, like I like all these episodes. They're Black Mirror episodes, so every episode feels a little special because we don't get these too often. And
some are less
6 episodes. Some are more special than others. That's correct. And Archangel doesn't happen to be one of those special ones for me because I thought the whole story to be a little drab. Like it dragged along. I also felt that the world that was set up by this episode felt very normal, very close to what looks like our world. And coming off of, this was the 2nd episode of the season, so the 1st episode was the USS Galliston. And it was very futuristic, it looked very pristine, it looked very cool with all the CGI. And then going on to this episode, maybe that had an impact, but I didn't really like the story. I like the technological aspect of it and how it, the impact it had on parents and children, but overall, I didn't like the ending. It didn't hit with me, it just didn't strike me.
Cool. My 5th favorite is Hang the DJ, which might be a controversial choice. I know a lot of people love this episode. I liked it as well, but I guess the ending, the ending twist didn't sit well with me. I guess we talked about it when we reviewed it. I didn't really see. We're not gonna. I feel like this is gonna be a very spoiler-free episode because we have our spoiler-full reviews.
All right.
So I don't want to spoil the ending, but I thought that it didn't really. The twist didn't really make sense at the end because it just wasn't believable for me. But I did like the whole dating aspect of it. I mean, that was like lighthearted and relevant.
Yeah. My number 5 would be Metalhead. That's your number 6. And again, I like the black and white. They went black and white. Again, it had that horror feel. It was cool that it was a one-on-one. It was this woman versus a dog, and it was this post-apocalyptic world, which I really liked the feel of it. But it was slow for me. The episode was slow. It felt like it all relied on that payoff at the end.
Yeah.
And like you said, the twist at the end wasn't satisfying.
Yep.
And the whole episode just... And there were certain decisions that were made throughout that episode that really broke me away from being fully immersed in the episode and really almost made me not want to support this character, just knowing why would you do that. But I thought the dog was cool. I thought the way it was shot was cool, and yeah, that's my number 5.
My number 4 is Black Museum, and this is not a choice because it's a Black Museum is broken up into 3 distinct stories. The first story I thought was amazing, really intrigued me. I thought the technology behind it was really cool. It's about this doctor that could feel the pain of his patients and uses it to diagnose them. But obviously it turned him crazy. I thought that was really cool. But then the second 2 stories, which is the majority of the episode, weren't as strong. And so for me, even while I did love the first story, and that's why it's number 3 on this list, the other 2 stories couldn't carry it.
I'm right with you. That's my number 3 choice. Black Museum is right there. What I liked about that episode is that if you see it, you will see a lot of nods to other Black Mirror episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't want to spoil it, but there are a lot of nods. And if you're a fan of Black Mirror, I mean, or even if you're not, it's very obvious what they're putting out there. Like Steve said, that episode was broken down into 3 mini stories. I thought the first story was very strong. I felt like the other 2 weren't that strong. Particularly the second one was very weak. And it was very disappointing for me because this episode really hooked me in from the beginning.
It did, yeah.
And it sort of gave me that feel of, like I mentioned in our review, that Tales of the Crypt, where there's a narrator, and that narrator is going to present us with 3 short stories, typically horror stories. And the first one started off kind of like a horror story, short story, and it just sort of went downhill from there, and it lost my interest. And I thought they could have done a lot more had they maybe given us a better 2 mini stories. It would have probably ranked really high as my all-time favorite Black Mirror episodes, but unfortunately,
should
dropped the ball. They fumbled, and that's my number 3.
That was your number 3 or number 4?
I'm sorry, yeah, whatever the 4th one, yeah.
Okay, yeah. My number 3 is Archangel. I actually really like this episode. So I love like the parallels it has to actual parenting. The idea that I got. So the whole idea of this episode is that this mom puts an implant into her daughter that like tracks everything she does. It could blur out things that are, I guess, unsavory, and sort of like controls her life. But it comes from a good place, and like there's like a cool parallel. I think one of your critiques was that this world felt too real, right? I feel like that's kind of what this episode did so well.
Aesthetically, like where she lived,
yeah,
it just felt like a regular home.
Yeah,
compared to like the other homes we see, like very high techy. That's what I meant.
Yeah, well, yeah, but then to take like San Junipero, that's like in the 70s, Like, I feel like a Black Mirror episode doesn't need to be high tech for it to be good. But that's not the case.
No, that was my issue with it. Yeah. No, it doesn't have to be. I just felt like it didn't please me aesthetically.
But so yeah, I think I like the parallels to the real world where you might have like a mom or someone that it means well and they want to create like a safe space for their kid, but then they end up going too far to the point where they're making their kid unsafe, and I think putting them in situations that they can't handle, so eventually they're gonna have to like deal with the real world. And I think that's very timely, especially with like the whole like politically correct safe space argument going on in our culture right now. So I like that one.
I liked it. This is number 3, right?
3. Should be 3.
My number 3 would be, I would say...
Look at the wall.
It's tough because I'm having trouble, but I would say... I would say... Hang the DJ, I put number 3.
Oh yeah, you didn't say that, yeah.
I'm going to put Hang the DJ. I really like Hang the DJ. What I liked about it, I felt like the 2 actors, the 2 stars of the story, the guy and the girl, I forget their name, but they did a good job at giving us 2 characters that were connected with one another. And I think you mentioned this, it's reflecting back like what's going on now with our generation, with people using dating apps like Tinder or Hinge or all those good ones, and the hookup culture.
All the good ones.
Yeah, and
what are the bad ones?
There's some bad ones out there, and you go along with this adventure, this sort of love story between these 2 characters about them trying to find love in this somewhat dystopian future. And there's a reveal at the end, which we're not going to ruin. You can check out a review for that. But I particularly liked the reveal. I thought that it's open to interpretation, like it's open-ended, but in the end, I felt like it resonated with me. So, and I liked the story that it presented. I was a fan, so it's my number 3.
So it's interesting that that's your number 3 because that means we have the same 2 episodes left.
Yeah,
it's interesting. My number 2 is USS Galliston. I love the whole Star Trek vibe, even though I never a big Star Trek fan. Maybe that's why I like it. It's like I could withstand an hour of Star Trek, not like a whole series of it. But I kind of feel like this episode was kind of poking fun at the like old school cheesy Star Trek like as shows. But then you juxtapose that, that cheesy vibe with like this character that's like seriously fucked up and like doing these horrible things to these other characters. And as far as villains go, I think he's one of Black Mirror's like best villains. Because most episodes, the villain is just the technology or just the world. But this is one of the few episodes where there's actually like a person that like it's really putting these characters in a really fucked up situation. You have to watch it yourself, but I think it creates like this really menacing character, and like you're like happy to see him get taken down.
Spoilers?
No, I mean, I think it's a villain in any character, in any.
That's not true. This is Black Mirror. Like sometimes
fiction.
the villain could win. But my second would be Crocodile. I really like Crocodile. I thought that it was like an adventure from beginning to end.
Yeah.
It sort of reminded me of Shut Up and Drive, Shut Up and Dance, where something happens where it just sets off a chain of events where the character finds himself just spiraling down and just having no control over what happens. And this episode had that feel where things escalate really quickly for this character, and this character goes to a place where you didn't expect it from the beginning. And at the end, it has a really cool little reveal / twist, I guess you can call it. And it was very violent. It was a violent episode.
Super violent.
Super violent. And I like there's this sort of, I mentioned this in a review, like this detective storyline that's going on, without really being a detective storyline, of uncovering clues, of slowly piecing puzzle pieces together, and it's the character that figures it out is almost unaware of it all until everything clicks, and that doesn't end too well for some people or some people not. But yeah, it was my number 2. I liked it. I really liked it.
Yeah,
I thought it was a solid. I thought the reason why other episodes rank low is because for me, the 10 out of 10 rank is like how solid did the episode feel from beginning to end. It felt consistently solid throughout the episode. I felt like it felt good.
Yeah, and I think the main character Mia, I like everything. So that's my number 1. Everything you said, I agree with it. I just want to add that the main character Mia, I really felt for her, because, like I said, it is similar to Shut Up and Drive, where it's kind of very similar, where you have this one character, makes this one mistake, and then like they're thrown into all these situations that they really didn't ask for, and sometimes things get out of hand, but you really liked it. I mean, at least when I was watching, I really liked the main character Mia up until a certain point, and then I'm like, well, okay, now you've gone too far, and now I can't relate to you anymore. And I think Black Mirror does a good job of, giving characters a lot of depth, where you could relate to them on one end, but then after a while, like really start to resent them.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's my favorite episode of the season.
Oh, that's your number 1.
My number 1. Numero uno.
My number 1 is USS Galliston, and the reason I put it up is exactly what you're saying about how you liked how Black Mirror presented Mia as this one person, and then sort of flips that over, and then suddenly you feel differently about it. It does the same thing with Robert Daly, I think that's his name, the main character, the nerdy coder, and you start off really feeling bad for this guy. You're like, he's being pushed over, no one respects him. He seems like a nice guy, but then as the story unfolds, you realize that it's not what it seems. Like, this guy isn't such a nice guy, and he takes all that out in his virtual space that he created for himself. I thought that the production value in this episode was so high. Yeah. And it's the first episode of the season, so, and it's the longest episode of the season.
Not Black Museum?
I think this might be longer. I think it might be longer. And it's longer, and for me, it never felt long. It felt just right. I thought that the production value really came through, like with the CGI, with the costumes, and you're right, I like the parody aspect of this episode. Yeah. It clearly was making fun of Star Trek, but also not making fun of it, but like respectfully so. I think it wasn't like bashing it. It was like paying like an homage, as they say.
The kids say.
An homage. So they, you could tell that perhaps Charlie Brooker was a fan of Star Trek and was paying tribute to it. And I felt like all the actors did great. There was a lot of familiar faces on it, which was nice.
A lot of comedy too, which I like.
Exactly, it has a lot of comedy. There's like one scene where there's something involving genitalia, and she says something like, "You crossed the line."
Yeah, that was funny.
And I thought that was hilarious. There's a lot of funny moments like that, and I thought that was very odd for Black Mirror, because this whole episode felt like a movie to me because of its length, because of the production value, and also its structure, where at the end its third act is very climactic. It's like, I tend to skew towards sci-fi anyway, no matter what I do, like whatever genre, movie, TV show, anything that involves sci-fi. Even, I would say even cheesy sci-fi, where it gets a little campy, like I'm a fan of that. Seeing this kind of in the Black Mirror universe. Like I really liked that. I thought that the reveal at the end, the twist. I guess there's a twist at the end. Not really.
Not really.
I guess it ends really like your typical movie in a way. Like you have your bad guy, you have your good guy, and I will say without spoiling it that some of you will like the way it ends, some of you might not, depending on how you feel Black Mirror episodes should go about. Right? Like some people expect the grim ending, some people like San Junipero with a more brighter outlook, but it also is open to interpretation. You know, it's all there, but it's one of my favorites, and I would say it's one of my favorite Black Mirror episodes. In the top 5 realm.
Okay.
In the top 5 realm. But yeah, and it was one of my favorites. My number 1, USS Galliston.
Guys, like, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Let us know what your rankings are. What was your favorite episode in season 4 in the comments below. If you like this video, please make sure to tell us that by liking the video. Subscribe. Check out our Instagram pages in the banner below. Once again, I'm Steve.
I'm Wilson, guys.
Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace.
Bye.